Kלים Perik Yud Zayin, Mishnah Yud Zayin, finally the last Mishnah in this very long Perik. Tachtis hat Tzorfim Timea, v'shel napochin Tahira. A Tzorf is somebody who smelts and refines gold and silver. And a Tachtis is a big wooden box which he either stands in or stands next to while he's doing his work. And the little bits, the little chippings of gold and silver that fall off of the work he's doing drop into there, and he keeps it. Then it's tmeir because it's a regular kli eitz sheyesh lo beis kibul. However, the one used by napochin, these are people who don't work in silver and gold, they work with metal. These are smiths. That's tahira. The Mefarshim, it's not quite clear exactly what the difference is and why the Mishnah is telling us this. I think the reason is, in both cases, the chippings, the loose bits, fall into this box. However, the one for napochin, they're actually not interested in keeping what's in the box. Therefore, it's not called the kli kibul. With the gold and silver, of course, being more precious objects, those little chippings are much more precious, and therefore it's called the kli kibul. Similarly, you have a mashchezes. This is a board, a wooden board used for sharpening knives. Sheyesh bar beis kibul shemen. It's basically flat, so it hasn't got a beis kibul. However, if there's a small indentation on the side, in which they put little drops of oil, and the oil is used to, you put the oil on the knife before you sharpen it, then that little beis kibul for the shemen makes the whole thing into a beis kibul, into a kli eitz sheyesh bar beis kibul. Mashchezes is a sharpening board. Sheyesh bar beis kibul shemen timea. She'ein bar Torah, if it's completely flat, of course it's Torah. Similar idea we have with a pinkos. A pinkos is a writing board. They used to have a piece of wood, and then they used to smear wax on the board and write with a sharp instrument on the wax. If the board is such that it's actually got sheyesh bar beis kibul shava, there is actually a small rim in which the wax settles and is placed, then the whole pinkos has a din of eight sheyesh bar beis kibul, and it's tmei. However, if it's completely flat and the wax just sits on top of it, then it's a pshutik kli eitz and therefore Torah. Now we move on to kash, straw. This last bit, there are many ways of learning this Mishnah. So I'm going to just tell you the simplest way. And we're dealing with straw. Kash is straw. This is when you cut the field, you have the stubble left on the ground, and straw. Matzeles is a mat made out of straw. Shfoifris hakash is a little pipe made out of straw. We're going to take on the shita of the Rambam, which is that straw is actually got a regular din of kli eitz. Because there are people who say, Tosa says that eitz actually just means a tree. But the Rambam holds anything which grows from the ground has got a din of eitz, and therefore this kash actually has got a din of kli eitz. No problem there. However, the machloikas between, as we see, Rabbi Kiva Metami, Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri Metahir, is based on the idea that we know that a kli has to have a certain amount of permanence. It can't be a disposable object. It's got to be a bar kayama. And kash is one of those materials that is sort of, it's a bit iffy how much of a bar kayama it is. And this is these tanoim are mechulik on the level of permanence that a kli eitz has to be. Rabbi Kiva Matami says a kash is enough. Matzeles a kash is a mat used for lying on, and anything used for lying on is mekabel tumah, because under the rule of Mishkav and Moshav, the shfoiferes hakash, the little straw, actually is able, when you put liquid in, it is actually able to retain a few drops of liquid, and therefore they're just arguing on the permanence of the material. Does the fact that it's so a little bit disposable, does that Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri holds? He says that's not called a bar kayama, and therefore the keli is not mekabel tumah. Rabbi Shimon Omer, afshal pakuos kayotze bohen. He says, similarly, if you make a keli out of pakuos, as a type of pumpkin, a type of gourd, he holds that if you can't turn a food into it's a regular food. Just because you take a potato and you carve out a little receptacle, he says it's food and hasn't got that degree of permanence that a kli has to have, and therefore it's tahor. Avshel pakuos kayotze ben follows the same rule above. Machzeles konim v'shel chilif tahira. These are mats made out of makonim, or little sticks and reeds. Chilif is a type of grass. They're tahor. Again, the Mefarshim have different ways of explaining this. It seems that these materials are not good to make mats. They're not comfortable for sleeping on. They're primarily made to be used as a wall, as a curtain, as a roof, and therefore they're not made for shchiva, and if they're not made for shchiva, they're therefore regular pshutik le'etz, they're not made for mishkav and moshav, and therefore they are tahor. The Mishnah ends off by saying, Shvofres hakona. You've got this reed which you've cut. It's a stalk, it's a stick which grows in the ground, has a reed, break it off like a bamboo stick. Shachatocha lekabola. You've cut it in order to be used as a little kli kibble. Remember, you can retain some drops of liquid inside these straws. It's tahira because it's not finished yet. Achiyotzi eskola kochai. Inside the straw, there's some membranes, like a spider's web, the inside, and which obviously stops it being. You've got to actually clean it out first, and until you take out the kochai, then it's not yet ready to be a base kibble. And that's Baruch Hashem Perik Yud Zayin finished, and we're going to start Perik Yud Ches, and we're going to enter into some pretty complicated and difficult but very interesting Mishnayos. So Perik Yud Ches coming up.